Okay, Rabotai, let us begin our interesting second half of a class on page 9b2, where we're going back to the sugya of a woman and her makeup. Adornments. Okay, says the Mishnah. On page 9b2. A woman is able to make tachshitea, her adornments, her jewelry, the things that she's wearing, her accessories. Okay, so let's understand what this means. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned. Elu tachshitei isha. What does this mean, the adornments of a woman? First of all, says the Gemara, kochelet. She's able to make her, use like eye makeup, okay? Painting her eyes. Kochel, kachol means blue, okay? She's able to use this kechol on her eyes. Uposeket. And what does poseket mean? That she's allowed to pull her hair apart in order to be able to make braids.
These
okay?
Are things that you wouldn't be allowed to do on Shabbat.
What do you mean?
That's why we're making a differentiation here.
Yes, exactly.
Your hair is something you don't do on Shabbat.
Correct. But over here, if you go back to the Mishnah, you'll see, right? There's the Mishnah on page 8. It's 8b. Right? Says the Gemara. Says the end of the Mishnah. You see over there? Turn back to 8b3. Usa isha tachshitea b'moed. She's allowed to do her adornments on Chol HaMoed. Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo tasud b'nei shenivu nuhula. But she's not allowed to do this like a chemical peel, because during the time that she's doing, even though it's going to get better later, it's bad for her there at that moment. It's ruining her skin at that moment. You can't do that on the Moed. Okay, so the Gemara says, what is she allowed to do? She's allowed to paint her eyes. Perfect. What else is she allowed to do? Poseket. Poseket literally means to part the hair and to smooth it away in different directions. So as an example, you might see someone who's going to kind of like make a part in the hair. Other opinions hold poseket actually means to do the braid itself. Some people hold poseket means the thing that you do before you make a braid. Because how do you make a braid? You separate the hair into two parts, and then you plait it or plait it together. And she's able to take put a reddish makeup on her cheeks. And some people say, Ma'averet sakin al panea shel mata. What does it mean? It's actually referring to her shaving down below so that she can prepare herself and she looks nice for intimacy for her husband. Okay? The Gemara continues. Dvitayu de Rav Chizda, the wife of Rav Chizda, mikashta be'anpe kalta. She was doing her adornments in front of her daughter-in-law, and it was on the Chol HaMoed, and she was doing some of the things that we just mentioned. Yativ Rav Huna bar Chinina kamed Rav Chizda. So Rav Huna bar Chinina came in front of Rav Chizda. V'yativ ka'amar, and he said, Lo shanu, this idea, we only said that with regards to ela liyalda, only for someone who's young. Aval zekena, no, we never said that she's able to do it. Now, why is it that we allowed a young woman to do it, but not an old woman to do it? The answer is because younger women were so busy and obsessed with their makeup tutorials and glow-ups and all the things that the teenage kids are getting very busy with. So therefore, for them, it's allowed on the Moed. But for an older woman, that really, she's not driving herself crazy. So we never allowed her to do that. Sorry? Rav Huna bar Chizda was studying with Rav Chizda.
Wasn't in front of the ladies.
Wasn't in front of the ladies. It was in front of Rav Chizda. Okay? Says the Gemara, Ha-Elohim, he said, like it's like a swearing. Afilu imach. Even your mother. Va'afilu imadi imach. And even your grandma. Right? Va'afilu omedet al kivra. Even if she's about to fall into the grave, that's how old she is. Still, she's allowed to do it. The Amri Inshi, because people say, Bat shitin ki bat shit lekal tavla rahata. When a 60-year-old is exactly like a 6-year-old when it comes to the sound of the tavla rahata, to the sound of the bells. What does that mean? You have when they start playing the music of the weddings or of the parties, everyone starts bopping along to the music. And what he's saying is that whether a woman is very young or a woman is already very old, this is something that is important to them and therefore brings simcha. I just want to show you something that I found interesting over here. Look at Rashi. Rashi says, Tavla rahata, lekal tavla rahata. to the sound of the bells does she run? You see it right in the middle? Pirush, kishkush hazug, the rattling of the bell. Ratzaloma, what does it mean? Mine zemer, different types of music, bihilula, by a party, by a wedding. Just like a 6-year-old, she hears the sound of the music, she goes running to the party. So too does a 60-year-old woman doing. And just like this also, mikashta, does she get prepared? Does she get prepared for it? Now, why did I think that was so interesting? Where is it here? Right? Oh yeah, the reason why is because it seems like from Rashi that the getting prepared was referring to for the wedding. It almost looks like Rashi is saying, and the 60-year-old also runs to the wedding.
Oh, like the mother-in-law is running their wedding? The daughter.
Yeah, no, like a wedding, a party. So it almost sounds like in Rashi when he says hachiname mikashta, it almost sounds like he's saying that why is she getting done the makeup for this party that she's running to. In other words, everybody loves a party. Who's going to go to a party not made up? In other words, that to me was a little bit of a different slant on this. In other words, it's not just using it as a euphemism. Like, look, everyone runs to the sound of the music.
There's no party, there's no wedding on Chol Hamoed.
It doesn't mean a wedding specifically. It means the sound of music playing. Sorry? Everyone's down for a party. But Rashi makes it sound like, and since everyone's down for a party, so she's also going to run. So if she's going to run, she's going to get makeup done. Yeah?
So Rav Chisda is holding that everyone at all ages is allowed.
All ages, yeah.
But only for a party or just...
No, anytime. Now again, that's what I'm trying to say. The literal interpretation is anytime. That they enjoy it. The same way a 60-year-old runs after the bell like a 6-year-old, so a 60-year-old also enjoys this like a 6-year-old. But with it's almost the way Rashi is presenting it that made me think that that it was for the sake of the wedding. All right? Where is this here? Hold on.
Elohim before he says the answer.
Okay, let's continue. Yeah, it's like a swearing, right? Yeah, Hey, look at not only. I loved how he went jugular. Your mom, your grandma. Okay. The Mishnah continues. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Omer Lo Tasud. Rabbi Yehuda says she should not put on the sud, which is that thing that burns off either hair on the face, or we saw another idea that it burns the face in order to make the skin softer after it recovers from the chemical peel. Okay, but whichever the opinion is, Rabbi Yehuda says they can't do it on the Chol Hamoed because although it will be good and it will be nice later on the holiday, now it's actually causing the skin to be red and basically burning it. Tanya, the Braita says, Rabbi Yehuda says, Isha lo tasud neshenivula. A woman should not do this because it's a nivul at the time. Rabbi Yehuda agrees. Besid sheyechola lekapelo b'moed. When you talk about a seed, a type of application that you could pull it off on Chol Hamoed, shetofalto b'moed. That you're able to do that on Chol Hamoed. Sha'afa pishemetzirahi achshav, even though it's hurting her right now, it's in pain right now. Simcha ulachazman. It's good when you take it off. So in other words, what he's talking about over here, since there's a type of peel that one could put on, that the benefits, even though the benefits are not immediate, the benefits are fast enough that they'll be expressed still on Chol Hamoed. So if she could take it off and it will be healed and nicer before Chol Hamoed is done, that would be allowed because, and that's a big chidush, by the way.
So it has to be a 4-day or less peel.
Correct. Not 4-day or less peel. A 4-day or less recovery from the peel. You have to get the benefit. It's not about pulling it off.
That's what I meant.
Yes. So Rabbi Yehuda is saying that if there's that kind of a peel, that would be allowed because you're going to benefit from it on the Moed, and you're allowed to even have something which is maybe a little bit uncomfortable on Nivul Hula if it's for the sake of Chol HaMoed, which again is a chidush, right, in Rabbi Yehuda. So in other words, the first opinion said that seemingly that's allowed. Rabbi Yehuda says if it's Nivul Hula, it's not allowed. Rabbi Yehuda qualifies his own Isur to only be relating to something where the benefit's going to come after Chol HaMoed. The Gemara continues. Does Rabbi Yehuda actually hold of this? That you just said that you're allowed to do it if it comes back to you and you're getting the benefit of Chol HaMoed? V'atanan, we learn in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda says, Nifra'in mehen mipneh shemetzar. The halacha is that a person is allowed to get payback from someone who is Obed Avodah Zarah, right? On his holiday. Why? Because on his holiday, if he's paying you back, it causes him tsar, that he has to pay back on his holiday. Now, let's flip the idea over here. What is it? What's the idea? What's this concept? The halacha is,
within 3 days.
Excellent, Nathan. There's a halacha that we're not allowed to give someone, an idol worshiper, you're not allowed to give someone something on his holiday. Why? 2 reasons. One reason is, we're worried maybe he's going to use the money that you gave him to buy a korban for Avodah Zarah. And then you participated, or you were a messiah, you helped Avodah Zarah get a korban. Okay? So therefore we say, predate the payment 3 days before. Now, you're not allowed to pay him on the holiday. Second reason is, the guy's going to say, oh look, Yishtabach Shemo, you see, Yeshu got me the money because it came to me on Xmas. So you're going to reinforce his belief in Avodah Zarah. That's the second reason.
Holiday tips?
Every year, Nathan makes sure that Sammy remembers that we have to give it either before or after, but not on.
Never
Okay?
on the day.
Not on the day.
But before
it's a big
okay
question,
too?
halacha, if it's...
Within 3 days.
There's a big question, halacha, if that's also relevant today, if it's Avodah Zarah. Why? Because what is Christianity? Christianity is something which is called shituf. They don't not believe in the God that we believe in. They just believe that the God that we believe in had an affair with a human being and had a baby, and that baby is Yeshu, right? Okay, that's what they believe. They believe that there's 2 powers, power of God and power of Yeshu. That's shituf, which means there's a partnership. There's God LLC. You understand? There's a limited partnership between Hashem and Yeshu. That's what they hold. For us, that's Avodah Zarah. But the Rishonim say that there's some opinions of Rishonim that shituf for goyim is not Avodah Zarah. You hear that?
So what would be Avodah Zarah today?
So even though for me, shituf is Avodah Zarah, but if for them shituf is not Avodah Zarah, then this halacha which is said about Avodah Zarah might not be applicable. Because we're judging it not by me, by my standards, but by his standards.
But we don't hold by their values. So
Sorry?
We don't hold by their values. So
It doesn't matter. But if I facilitate a korban happening, so how do I have to decide if it matters? By my definition. But if the problem is that he's going to say thanks to his God, that's not my issue, that's his issue. You see? And because it's his issue, we would decide whether or not shituf is. So that's the machloket, whether this halacha is applicable in today's day and age. Of course, if there's a ability to be able to do it and avoid the problem completely, that's obviously better to do so. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda says, Nifra'in mehen, you're allowed to take money from the guy on the holiday, his holiday, because he's actually getting distress from it. Even though you can't pay him, you're allowed to take payment. Amru lo, and therefore he's not going to say Hazaku Baruch Yeshu because what's it called? Because he had to make a payment. The Gemara says, Amru, they said, even though now he's upset, in the end, he's going to be happy about it because he no longer owes the money. So you see that Rabbi Yehuda, even though there's going to be joy later, he does not consider that an issue. That does not help the argument. You decide whether or not something is mutar or asur by the pain of now. So if that's the case, Rabbi Yehuda, in our scenario, should not allow you to, he should not sanction pain of now for the sake of joy later, as a parallel to the halacha of letting him pay on his holiday. Gemara answers, says, Hanach lilchot moed. What are you comparing the laws of Avodah Zarah to the laws of Chol HaMoed? You can't compare the kulu, because all of these things, metzar achshav, they cause stress now, they cause pain now. Every bit of work, right, that a person's going to do on Chol HaMoed causes him a little bit of effort now. You're allowing him to do this. The guy's sitting there sweating like a dog, right? But it's for the sake of the Chol HaMoed. What are you going to say? We can't poter you? All work that you do on Chol HaMoed is stress now, but benefit in a minute.
Like baking.
Exactly. So therefore, you can't answer. That's the answer of Menachem Bar Yitzchak. The Gemara says, Ravina Amar, what does Ravina say? Kuti li'inyan piraon le'olam metzar. When it comes to a kuti, right, to this type of people, right, the people that they were dealing with at the time, their piraon, whatever they're paying back, it's always something which hurts him. The person is always annoyed, right? Why is he always annoyed? Because remember, they did not live by the laws of the land. They lived by the might makes right. So long as the money is in his property, if he could figure out a way to keep the money and not give it back to you, he's happy. The minute he's given it to you, he's lost. Exactly, he's lost that opportunity. So in a society which was not a lawful society, which was like the society of the Kutim at the time, they were always upset, even though they paid back and there was no longer a burden of debt. Still, that made them upset because maybe I could have not paid you back and kept the money. Okay, so therefore, Rabbi Yehuda would not hold that is mutar.
Are they being specific to the kudim because of the time, or is it very specific, like the halacha is specific to the kudim?
It's not specific to kutim, but it's specific to a type of people that live within a system of lawlessness. So in other words, if you lived in a society where the laws were upheld, so the fact that someone's not Jewish wouldn't change this. Right? Any person here who pays off all of his bills, who's not Jewish in America, feels great about the fact they don't owe any more money, right? But in a society where if you can get away with it, you do, and no one's coming after you, the fact that he paid back the money is like he lost money, because he could have not paid it back. Okay? So from there, we're going to leave it, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to leave it until the next sesh. Okay? We are on 9b3.
What's an example of